Hey guys, Kenny here, Ken Small Engines. Welcome back to the channel. Today we have a Husqvarna YTA 24V48, which is a 24 valve Briggs Intech, Briggs & Stratton, with a 48-inch deck. Nice little tractor. You know, probably cost a few bucks. I bet you probably about 3,000 bucks for this thing. I mean, it's a nice deck. It's got a nice front roller on it, and it says armor protected, 10-year warranty on the deck. Oh, not bad. Like I said, it's in nice shape, but when I picked it up yesterday, I noticed it was hunting. Let me start it up, see if you can hear it. Watch when I rev it. Hunting at the higher revs, and normally what happens on these is these things have the infamous, usually the infamous 2-barrel carburetor on it. Let me see what this one has. Oh, actually I may have lucked out. This one only has a single barrel carburetor. Okay, a lot easier to work on. All right, I'll take it apart and clean it. What happens on these a lot of times, especially with the 2-barrel Nicky carburetors, is the fuel filters break down. This is a Sten's aftermarket air filter that someone put on here, and over time the filter media in the cheap filters breaks down, and some of it gets into the line and goes into the carburetor and clogs it. And I know on the Nicky 2-barrels, if it clogs one side of the carburetor, one cylinder won't get enough fuel or as much as the other side, and then it hunts. So in this case, it's just a single carburetor. So I will take it apart, clean it, and hopefully that'll solve the hunting problem. Hopefully it's just a pilot jet in there, and hopefully something simple. Now on these, as you notice, the oil filter is down there, and you say to yourself, well, how do I get that oil filter out? Well, you have to take the panel off the side. Same thing with the other side. You have to take the panel off in order to get to that oil drain. It's hidden. The oil drain, where is it? Oh, there it is. Okay, it's hidden. You have to take the panel off, and what I do to take the panel off, you got these right there, those panel nuts, and what I use to take them off is an interior separator tool. Now you can use an interior spoon like this, all right, to pop it off, or what I like to use is one of these where you take them and they pop right off. So let me set up my camera here. I got a new little mini tripod for this thing. Let me try it out here. Make sure I get you in focus here. All right. So you put the tool in. It pops out. Easy peasy. Now these things, if you notice, and I'll show you, there's no tool required. Basically it's just, you know, push in, push fit. These work nice because they pop them right off. You could use a screwdriver, you could use a spoon. You don't really need a fancy tool, but you can get tools like this and all the interior tools like that screwdriver on Amazon really cheap. Once you take that off, this should pop right off. All right. There is a fastener on the side here, and that's another fastener that just pops out. Is there one more? Oh, let me see. Is there one more fastener? Where's the other fastener? Oh, it lifts up. I'm sorry. Once you pop that fastener off, you lift it up and it pops out. So if you notice, see the T-slots? Okay, so this thing, you take off that fastener, you lift up and pull off. So the one fastener in that hole, you lift up and you pop out. And you can see by the dirt in here, whoever serviced this last year, they didn't do a great job. I mean, that's a lot. Look at all the dirt buildup in there. You know, when I return a machine, it looks better than when I got it. So I'll do a little pressure wash on this. I'll make sure it's nice, and when I return it, it'll be nice. And if you notice too, you can see, oh, looks like Mickey Mouse may have gotten in there a little bit. Looks like Mickey Mouse or bee's nest or something's in there. So I'm gonna take the shroud off and I'm gonna see what's underneath there. I wanna return it better than when I got it. And there's a bunch of grass back there, so we'll take off the covers, we'll get that oil changed. Here's the oil change plug right there. We'll put a tube on that. We'll circulate the oil out into a pan. We'll change it. Basically spark plug oil change, air filter change. We'll see how it runs after all that, and if it's still hunting, we'll take the carburetor apart. We'll take off that shroud and we'll see what kind of critters we have underneath. But let me get that all set and then I'll get back to you guys. Okay, be back in a minute. All right, this is a cheapo Stens filter. I like using a big filter. I like using the Kohler, which is a 24V48. It's a nice big filter. I think it works better. So clamp off the fuel line. All right, let's take off the clips. All right, we'll get a little bit of mess, but not too much. Okay, and always look on your fuel filter, guys. There's always an arrow, direction of flow, okay? So always use that, okay? Don't put it backwards, it won't work right. It'll work, but it won't work perfectly. All right, let's see what we got here. You can always tell the cheap Chinese filters, they don't like to come off easy. So that side is on. Okay. That's one side. There's the other side. A little bit of fuel leaking out. All right. Put the other tap back on. All right, I like these better. They seem to work better. I just like them better. Okay. Now we gotta do the oil. I want to drain it first. So let me go around to the other side. All right, now for the oil drain. What I do is I take the drain right there. Okay, there's the drain. Take the cap off, I put a tube in it, and then I drain it into a container. All right. So let me get this on there. I'll be back in a second. All right, so normally these take 2 quarts of oil. So right here, I take off the cap first. Oh man, this is, I hate when they are so filthy. All right, the cap pops off. All right, take off this cover. All right, there's the cap. I can't stand when people don't take care of things. And what I normally do is I take a piece of Tygon tubing, I stick it over the barb. All right. Ooh. Then I get a container, and these usually take 2 quarts of oil, so I'll drain out the first quart and then I'll drain out the second quart. All right. And here's a tip for you. When you take these out, and this one's loose, and they're usually loose. Okay, turn it and you pull it. Here comes the oil. And like I said, it takes 2 quarts, so I'll drain out 1 quart first, and if you crack the oil fill cap, it'll come faster. Watch, you'll see. Watch how fast it goes when I take the cap off. Yeah, it goes a little bit faster. All right, so I'm gonna drain that. Once it gets toward the top, I'll shut the valve off. I'll empty this container and I'll do it again. And like I said, these usually take about 2 quarts of oil. This oil isn't bad. It's a little dark, but it looks like it almost has a little bit of water in it, like condensation. It's a little cloudy. So like I said, this is a Chinese food container. I'll drain that out. Like I said, I use Tygon tubing. I just happen to have this set up. I've been using it for years. So, but look at how filthy that is under there. That's disgusting. I will definitely clean that off. There's two ways to clean it. You can clean it with a pressure washer, or you can clean it with air. I'll start with air and we'll see how that works. Because sometimes you can clean it really good with air. And you can tell this guy never cleaned this thing. I mean, and who he brought it to, not a value-added service place, because they didn't clean it. You know, usually I know machines that I service, because when I get them back the next year, they're clean, and they're still clean, even though the people have used them. Okay, so we're about there with the first quart. So I'm going to shut it off. All right, let it drain out for a second. I'll dump that and I'll put the other one in. All right, you guys don't have to look at me draining oil, so let me drain that out. I'll be back in a few minutes. All right, guys, I like to use air to clean off equipment, so I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Take my air gun with my 1/8 brass tube on it. One thing, guys, these oil drain valves, they're always loose no matter what they're on, and this one's loose too. Tighten them. Put a wrench on there and tighten it. They're always loose. They'll leak, you'll lose the oil, you'll blow the engine, so always tighten them. Looks like the guy put a little bit of grease on the wheels. Not much. If you don't want to pressure wash it, at least do this. Pull it off, get nice and clean. Take off the shroud. I want to see what's underneath there, because it may be, who knows what underneath there. Let me raise you up a little bit. I'll take off that shroud and see what's there. Now to remove these shrouds, you have to take the grass screen off first, 5/16 or 8mm, depending on what you have. Yeah, I could use my impact gun, but you know what? A little exercise never hurt anybody. In fact, the guy who owns this mower, his brother's my next door neighbor, kitty corner. He's probably going to be watching, wondering what I'm doing. They both have Husqvarna mowers. This guy, the brother, has a little fancy, this is a little fancier. But the guy next to me, my neighbor, he bought the Cowie engine. This guy bought the Briggs. So the Cowie, it's a better engine, but still good mowers. You know, Husky always makes decent mowers. Husky AYP. They're good mowers, they always have been. Oh, now usually 10mm on the sides. And these here, you don't have to take them fully off, just loosen them so the cover can come up. They're shoulder screws. So you just have to loosen them out about a 1/4 inch until they clear the shroud, and then they'll lift off. The fuel pump is connected to it too. I don't know if I'll have to take the fuel pump off. We'll see. I just want to see if there's any critters under here. A lot of times, especially if you see something coming out the valve cover, that's usually a telltale sign of critters. And since the guy who worked on this didn't take it off, it's probably the first time it's ever been off. So we'll see. This thing has, I believe, but how many hours on it? I think it's 60 hours. So this should. Oh, there's also some hidden screws. Let me show you. There's 2 screws right here in the airbox. See those 2? The 1/4 inch. Those have to come off too in order to take off the shroud. You may have to take the fuel pump off. Sometimes you don't, and sometimes it'll just come off. But let me get to those 2 screws, and then we'll take it off. All right, there's a good shot. Get you. There we go. All right, let me take off the 1/4 inch screws. And then we'll be able to lift the shroud off and see if there's any critters living in here. And these are plastic screws, so they come out fairly simply. A couple turns. All right, moment of truth. I have the fuel pump. I'll keep the fuel pump on. I'll just remove the vacuum line from this valve. Okay. So let's see what we have here. Let's see what we have. Something was in there. I don't know if it was just grass or what, but some stuff in there. Doesn't look like you really had much of a mouse nest or anything in here, which is good. All right, everything looks pretty clean, which is good. You don't want mouse nests. It looks like maybe just grass buildup. So I'm going to take my air gun, I'm going to blow everything off, get it nice and clean, and then I'll put it back together. Again, here's the single carburetor that goes on here. You know, for now, I'm not going to touch it. Let's see what happens. And if it starts hunting again when I get done, then I'll touch it. But for now, let me just blow this thing off, and then we'll get to the oil filter. One thing I discovered, guys, was the vent for the gas tank, which comes from the gas tank over here. It's supposed to go to the carburetor. It's not connected, and it looks like it's been off for quite a while because the barb is covered with dirt, and that's not good. That means that this air cleaner was sucking in dirt. I mean, the gas tank was vented because the tube was open to atmosphere, but look at all the dirt on that barb. So the air cleaner, which connects right here, has been sucking in dirt for quite a while. So that's not good. So I don't know if they did that from the factory or if the guy who fixed it, I use the term loosely, didn't hook it up, but I'm hooking it up. Okay. All right. Okay, we'll be back shortly. All right. This oil filter change is brought to you by Pop-Tarts. No, they don't sponsor the oil change, but I love Pop-Tarts and I needed a cardboard box and it was the one I had, so I say they're sponsoring. They're not. I use a cardboard box to drain the oil out of the filter. Alright, oil filter wrench. I love how they put the fuel lines in the way. So, anyway, let's see how tight this thing is. Oh, I love oil filters. There we go. Oh shoot, that's loose. My God. That was real loose. Holy cow. That wasn't tight at all. Alright, so I take the filter, I put it under here. Hopefully to get runoff. There we go. All right. To get the runoff. And then we drain it into a container. And we loosen the filter. And ready? Hey, here we go. Look at that, huh? Let that drain for a second. And then you take this thing off. And again, Sten's filter, aftermarket, not OEM. I like to use OEM. Tells a customer that I care, that I'm not just concerned about money. All right. So, all right. Like I said, oil filter change, Pop-Tart box or whatever box you have. All right, so we'll wipe that down, get that cleaned, and then we will put on a new filter. All right, we'll be back in a minute. All right, we're back. So now I gotta get the brakes filter. Genuine Briggs & Stratton. Doesn't cost a lot more to use OEM parts. I think OEM is a better quality. That's just my opinion. Your opinion may vary and you're entitled to it. So, all right. We'll take a little bit of the waste oil. All right. We will wet the filter gasket. I don't usually fill these because it's this way, and as you screw it in, you're going to get a mess all over the place, so I just wet the gasket and screw it in. And if you notice, this is the long Briggs filter, which is, let me screw it in, I'll get you the part number. I like using the longer ones. 491056. Here's a short one, a Sten's aftermarket cheapie. Here's the Briggs. It's about a third longer, more filter media. What's it cost? $1 more, $2 more? It's worth it. Customer will thank you. All right, I just do it hand tight. That's it. That's all you need, hand tight. All right, oil filter's on, fuel filter's on, oil's drained. Now I have to fill up the oil, and then I'm going to change the spark plugs. I believe these are RC12YCs. So let me get a spark plug wrench. We'll get those and we'll change them. Be back in a minute. And we're back. Okay, RC12YC. 5/8 socket. Those are loose. Yeah, whoever worked on this didn't really like tightening things. Plugs are barely tight. Oil filter was not even hand tight. Ooh, a little bit white, a little bit lean. I wonder if that's because of the carburetor. All right, 30 thousandths gap. Let's gap her to 30. Where's 30? Wow, my eyes are doing good. Whew. There's 30. I always like to use wire for the gapping instead of a feeler gauge. Wire seems to work better. I like wire. This needs to be adjusted slightly, so wow, that's a tight one. That one actually bent my gauge, my wire gauge. That's not good. That or it's a cheap gauge. Ugh. Don't buy cheap wire gauges. I got 2 more plugs in the bag. Let me grab one of those. This is one that was laying around. Usually they come gapped from the factory. Yeah. So the ones that come gapped from the factory went to my dealer. They were gapped perfectly at 30. So, do I use Never Seas, not use Never Seas? You know what? For this, I don't need Never Seas. But I do need a good spark plug gapper. Yeah, can you torque these to 12 foot-pounds? Sure you can. Here's my torque wrench right here. Remember, on these, you have a compression washer on them, okay? So that when you tighten them, it's going to feel like it's tight, but it's really not. So you go in there, and you're like, oh, it's tight. Now it's tight. You gotta watch, because you think it's tight, it really isn't. So make sure you're compressing that washer all the way. All right. Let me do the other one. And I'm assuming this one's gonna be white. If it's not white, then it means that the other cylinder's running lean. This one's running rich. Let's see what happens. Oh, same thing. A little bit of brown on the porcelain, but for the most part it's running a little bit lean. That's the way these engines run, so not too bad. So we'll put the new plug in. After we put the plug in, we're going to fill it with oil. We're going to start it up and we're going to see how she runs. See if the mist is gone, see if the mist is still there, and we'll go from there. There was something in here. I don't know what it was. Looks like a piece of insulation or something that's burnt in there. I don't know, something from the factory. Okay, so we got the plugs on. All right, all that stuff is on. We just have to fill it with oil now. So let me get some oil. We'll fill her up and we'll see what we have. All right, I'll be back in a second. Okay, so I got the cover. Cover's gonna go back on. Like I said, 2 1/4-inch screws that go in the front of the air cleaner. Then the rest are 10mm on the side. Okay. There's the quarters. The grass screen on top, 5/16. 5/16 for the grass screen. These in. And it's symmetrical, so it doesn't matter which one you use. Alright, there's 4 of them, it's symmetrical, so just put 4 back. The reason I like using the impact on these is because it's into plastic, and if you use the impact, you're going to strip them out. So, just as easy to use a nut driver. What does it take? Another minute? No big deal. like I said, we put 2 quarts of oil in there, and it's showing right at the full mark, but we haven't filled the oil filter yet with oil, so it's going to go down slightly. So these take a little bit over 2 quarts. I think it's like 66 ounces, something like that. So now let's tighten the 10 millimeter. All right. Let's see, 10 millimeter. And there's the ratchet. We also hooked up the vent, crankcase ventilation vent to the fuel pump. That's what provides the pulse to the fuel pump from the crankcase. These pulses actuate the fuel pump. So we'll get these on. And there's 6 of these. 1 on the side, 2 in the front, 2 in the back. Alright. And you can tighten them most of the way by hand. And use a wrench to cinch them. And then once we tighten these, we're going to fire her up. Let's see what happens. Oh, my phone is dinging. Another customer. Let's see. And it's dinging again. Who knows? Customer. Happy or unhappy? Hopefully happy. We'll tighten this last one. We'll put the air filter and pre-filter on. Again, it's a Briggs Intech 24 horse. These are all tight. Okay. Air filter and pre-filter. Air filter, Briggs 24 horse Intech, part number 6104216. And the pre-filter, part number 793685. I always like the pre-filters on these. When you buy these at Home Depot, they'll come with a pre-filter shoved into the filter. Make sure if you buy them from Home Depot, you take the pre-filter out. I know a lot of people that stick this on, they think what's in there is supposed to be there, and it sucks the pre-filter into the intake manifold, and the engine won't run. Trust me, I've seen it a million times. I don't know why they stick these pre-filters inside the air filter and don't tell you. You know, someone who doesn't know anything about small engines, they'll look at the air filter, they'll see something yellow inside and say, oh, that's neat. And they won't know that it's a pre-filter that goes on the outside. I've seen it more times than I care to remember. Okay, so your pre-filter goes fully around the outside of the air filter. And this, you know, oh, do you oil it? Do you not? I don't oil them. Can you oil them? Yeah, I don't. I mean, you want to argue about it? Go ahead. All right. All right, so that's there. Okay. We have the cover. We'll throw the cover on real quick. And then we're ready to fire her up. Like I said, the plugs are in, the oil's changed, the plugs are changed, the oil filter's changed, the fuel filter's changed. We are ready to rock and roll, people. All right, plugs are in, oil's in, spark plugs are on, oil filter, gas filter, that's back in the clips. Where is it? There we go. All right, gas filter, oil filter, everything is on, everything is ready to go. He's ready to fire up. Oil's good. All right, guys, moment of truth. like the hunting is gone. Definitely at full throttle, it's gone. At part throttle, just a teeny bit, but not much. It could have been the plugs, it could have been the fuel filter breaking down. So at this point, I'm going to wipe everything down with Simple Green, get it nice and clean. I'm going to check the oil to make sure, now that the fuel filter is full, or the oil filter, I'm sorry. Now that the oil filter is full, let's see what it did to the oil level. Should have been down a little bit. Let's see. And on a Briggs, you always screw it in and twist it. All right. Yeah, down a teeny bit, not much. Let me go get another thing of oil. I'll put some more oil in there. Let me clean this up with the Simple Green, and then it's time to attack the deck. All right, be back in a few. All right, guys, something I do, a lot of people don't do it, but see these screws on the air cleaner? Look at all the dirt around them. You take the screw out. Just take the damn thing out, okay? You go in there, okay? Now you got the screw. You put the screw back in, all right? It looks a lot nicer, all right? All right. Now, you get your machine back from somebody, all right? And you notice, wow, that thing is clean, okay? You take out the top there, go like that. Now, if you look at this engine, okay, and you look at the cover, all right, and you see that, and then you see that, which one do you like better? Well, I like that one better. It takes you 2 seconds. It makes the engine look like $1,000,000. So really, take the time, take the Simple Green. Look at that. Just do a quick wipe down with the Simple Green, all right? Go over all the stuff that's visible. You know, look at that. Nice quick clean with the Simple Green. It makes the engine look like $1,000,000. The owner knows that you cared, that you took care of it, that you cleaned it, and you did a good job. So take 5 minutes, clean the machine with some Simple Green. Your customer will love you for it. All right, we'll talk to you later. All right, guys, I don't know about you, but this is the way Ken Small Engines delivers an engine back for the customer. All right, this thing is clean. All right, it's tuned up, it's clean. He's gonna look at it and say, oh my God, this thing looks like a brand new engine. Even the knobs are clean and underneath the knobs. So, you know, Ken Small Engines, when I deliver it, it always looks better than when I got it. So that's gonna be it for this video, guys, on tuning up this Husqvarna. It's a 24 horse Intech V twin. Like I said, oil change, a little over 2 quarts, OEM filter, all right. Champion RC12YC spark plugs, gapped at 30. New air filter and pre-filter. The engine's ready to go. Now the fun part is gonna be the deck, but that'll be it for the engine tune-up. All right, guys, that's it for me. We'll talk to you soon. Okay, guys, let's wrap this up. The last thing I did on this mower, the deck was crooked, left to right. So what I do is I lift up the shield, and you can see these blades are like brand new. Look at that, they're like brandy new. So what I do, I will take one side, all right? I will put the, if you notice, we're right at 4 inches, okay? This blade is cutting at 4 inches at the tip. So you take the adjusters, which are there. The other side was a little bit too high. So I dropped the other side to equal 4 inches, and then I came back and I checked this one. So 4-inch cut, that's what he has. He's got a nice level cut now. I cleaned off the grass from underneath the pulley covers because they've never been off. Okay, so we did that. Next step, if there's any chassis points to grease, I'll grease those. The front wheel grease for the spindles, I'll grease those. Generally, sometimes on the clutch arm or the engagement arm, there's a grease fitting, I'll adjust that. But for the most part, that's it. This thing is done. We'll clean out the grass. We'll grease this one. We'll grease the center spindle. There's a grease fitting in the center. We'll get to that. We'll air up the tires, make sure the tires are good. And then I could deliver this to the customer and say, hasta la vista, you're done. So that's it. We gotta blow it all off again, make sure all the grass clippings, tons of grass clippings on this. Gotta clean it all out. Look at all that grass. And this guy's got a beautiful, beautiful lawn. So he'll be happy. His lawn won't be at an angle anymore. The cut will be square and parallel. The engine will be running perfect because, as I always say, always deliver it back to the customer better than how you got it. And that's what we do at Ken Small Engines. We deliver it better looking than when we got it. All right, that's gonna do it for this video. Stay tuned at the end. One of my friends has a little public service announcement, so stay tuned. We'll talk to you soon, guys. All right, just so you know, guys, that hex back there for the oil fill plug, it's 15/16. So if you have a very, very thin wall socket, you can get it on there, but a 15/16 wrench will fit, okay? And you can get the 15/16 wrench on there and tighten this thing. And that's what I did. I went in and tightened it. So make sure that's tight, because if that thing is loose, the oil's gonna come out. He's not gonna know it till it's too late. 15/16 hex on there, tighten that sucker up, okay? Okay, guys, that's it.
Hello everyone, I'm the Lawnmower Detective, and thanks for being here on Ken's Small Engine Repair channel. Slide on over to my channel if you get a chance. I'm the Lawnmower Detective, and don't forget, it's donut time.